Alright, tried looking at the wound channels in the dark with a backlight. Now my eyes, I could pick things up better. You know, it illuminated the tracks, did everything. But the camera didn't like it as much, for whatever reason. So, I'm going to try it again. Unfortunately, I've already extracted, all the bullets. But we'll see that. And, see if we can see it a little better in the light. If so, then I'll replace that dark stuff with this, and if not, well, I'll keep what I've already done. Okay, let's start out with the first group here. Note to self, well, this one, mark your pre-existing holes. It really helps with confusion. I really got confused with those, so we'll try to sort that out here. All right, here's where they ended up. Here's where they ended. The lower right one here is the first one. The upper left one is the second one. Took a bit to figure that one out. Third, fourth, fifth, and sixth shots. This one, the fat point, it's a larger entry wound. You can visually see it. Let's see. You can see it. Because I know I can. It's been reheated and melted, so some of these look a little bigger, but the wide point ones, they also do have a bigger entry wound, which stands to reason. There's not a wedge, prying its way in. It's more blunt trauma. Get it right, it does illuminate things better, but you can see here, the one that looks closest is number 1, and the one that looks farthest away is number 2. So number 1 is actually the lower, so it's kind of under this. They share a lot of wound tracks, unfortunately, so figuring that out, well, I gotta melt it down, so I'll cut it open at some point, and let's see if we can tell a difference. I'm getting glare. Okay, about 1.5 inches. They both start to spread out, really go into wound channel. It kind of, yeah, at 1 inch it kind of starts, but then it, really gets going. How far before they take it off? See if I can get a look at the blower one. I tried to clear this up, but it's still a little rough. I use this one as a guide, which is it kind of ends around 8, but then it doesn't really. Okay, this is actually 62 grade. But trying to get a look at that first one, and it's really difficult by turning it around. Whoops. See if we get any better look at it. Let me lower the camera and get a little better look. I can't really see the camera to make sure you see what I'm seeing, but you can see here, not this topmost, but there's 2 below it, and the bottommost one is the 55 grain that we're looking at, and this dark stuff that is lowest, that's from that one. Yeah, about 1.5 inches in, and then about 7. Well, it really kind of keeps going a little bit, and even all through here, a lot of them, it looks like a ribbon that twists, so the wound track isn't over and done with. It's not just a little thin line, it's like a flat twist. I've noticed that on a lot of these. So the main part is pretty much over 7, but out to about 10.5, it's still doing something before it really tapers off. And about 12.5 is where it stopped. Not this one here. This one's 62 grain. Okay, let's see what we got for the second one, which is, well, here it'll look like the center entry wound. It takes off about the same 1.5 in. Really can't see it here, so let me reposition the camera. This one we can see a whole lot better. It's right on top. So 1.5 in, it starts. The main part ends here at 7 3/4 or so. I don't know if you can see right there. See how you can see it's looks like a thin ribbon, and it starts to twist like this. Well, that goes until it stops at 10.5. So technically the wound track never really stopped until the bullet stopped. I see this a lot in this block. Actually, I think in both, but mostly in these lighter bullets. Watch me prove myself wrong when we go look at that one, but from what I remember. Okay, number 3 here. If you take a look, you'll see it's right here. Whoops, there goes my tape measure. It hooks left. It was headed on out. Didn't quite make it. See, the closest it made it was about a 1/2 inch from exiting out the side. This one, it's wound track. Ooh, can't see through the camera. Started a bit. Was it a bit earlier? I don't know. The side says a little different. About the same. From the top, it kind of looks like it starts earlier. The phone's in the way. It's kind of hard to see. Let's see. They're about the same. This one, the 62, might have started out a little sooner, but not much. All right, they go in order. Number 1 is 55 grain. Number 2 is 60. Number 3 is 62. 4 is 65 flat point. 5 is 65 soft point, and 6 is 69 fat point. Just so I don't forget to roll that in, because you know I will. It starts hooking. Let's see. Well, the main wound channel, it really keeps going here till about 9 inches, and then it takes a hook. It's 14.25, and then bounces back to 13.5. So we almost lost that one. Okay, number 4 is way down here. The bottommost one. Let me flip the block. All right, let's see. Yep, that light. One that gives me a lot of light and also creates glare. Okay. Which is this one, the bottommost, the closest one. This one starts out almost immediately. 1/4 inch. Not even. 3/8. Get something I can read a little better. Yeah. About 3/8 to 1/4 in. This one starts into wound channel. much quicker. I mean, it's almost immediate. Just pretty amazing. On that channel, that starts to collapse about 7 3/4. But if you look, if you can see it, does that ribbon twist thing right on out, and then it stops, and it starts again, and then the bullet stops. So these things do some crazy things. So let's see, it goes until about 12 1/4, then it kind of stops for what, 1/8 inch or so, and then it starts again, and the bullet stops at 13 1/2. Some surprising things happen. Let's see if we can get a view from here. Whoops. Okay, this one. You can see that wound tract is still doing the thing. It looks like it stops here, but it's just that it's twisted. You can see it from the top side. Right about here, gives up for, I mean, barely, tries again, and the bullet stops. Well, it bounced back. What did we get to? We got to about 14, and then bounced back a 1/2 inch. Said these are just average, mediocre speeds, but wow, good penetration, mushrooming, everything in 22 long rifle mushroom best. 75 it broke up. It's still mushroom, but it lost so much weight. Varmint grenade extraordinaire, I tell you. That's what you want to do. We'll see, you know. We'll see. Getting ahead of myself. All right. So that was let's see. That was the 65 flat point. Okay, now this one here, closest, number 5, is the 65 soft point, and it performed a little different. About 1 inch before it goes into, you know, expansion. So the flat points just, you know, they take off. They expand a little quicker. Then what do we have? The main wound cavity goes out to about 7 3/4. Here, looks like it stops a little bit. We'll see if it looks different from another side. The 8 1/2, it starts up again. About 10 1/2. It kind of peters out. It goes about 12 3/4 and bounces back to, it goes to 12 1/2 and bounces back to about 12 1/8. See if it shows any different when we see it from the top. No, because that's number 4. Flip it around to the camera side. Of course, it's all cloudy now. This one right here. Let me clear that up. Okay, so this one here, not the closest one. That one is number 4. This one. You can see right there what I'm talking about, that twisty ribbon bit. And yeah, looks like it gives up at about 10 3/4. And it stops. Now you can see, I kind of forgot to cover, you know, dropping chunks. You can see them in there. Some of them worse than others. It tends to be where that wound tract is collapsing. Tends to be. It's not a hard and fast rule I've found, but it's pretty common. Now, this one here, whoop, can't you see? Well, yeah, you can't see. This is number 6. This is the 69 grain fat point. And as you can see, expansion starts virtually, basically, immediately. Eighth of an inch. Boom. Amazing. You know, that's what you get with the blunt force trauma. It waits for no man, animal or anything it hits, you know. And then got a pretty nasty little wound. It collapses about 6.5. You see some, whoop, see some chunks, and it's losing, but it's still got a little bit to it. Here's where it really is. It drops these 2 chunks right here, and they're pretty good size by the looks of it. So about 9 inches, it drops those, loses a lot of energy. About 9.5, it kind of tries to resurge just a bit. Goes to about 11.25 and bounces back to 10.25 or 10.75. So right there. So really, it outdid the 60 grain by just a little bit. The 62 is the star of the show penetration wise. 13.75. Number 2, the 60 grain brings up the rear of the pack at 10.5, and the 69 fat point outdid that. You said about 10.75, and that's where they came final. You really want to measure to where it, you know, it ended up before it bounced back, but I'm just saying right there. Either way, either way, the fat boy outperformed 60 grain. Wait, am I wrong here? Number 4, man. I just keep getting surprised because I forget what they were. You know, the measurements in my head. Number 4, 65 fat point is number 2. It is almost tied for first penetration at 13.5. Depending on what angle you look at, it lost by 1/4 inch. I'm getting way off track here, you know, getting silly, but it's just amazing how much penetration these have, and the wound cavities, and the mushrooms. Wow. I'm very impressed with what I have seen from these. And onward, 65, 2 65s, and the 69 mega soft point. It ain't just a soft point. It deserves higher, you know, super status. Oh, man. Okay, now, this pre-existing. This, I think it was a slug. Pre-existing. I'm almost positive that was a slug. And pre-existing. Those confused me out there a lot, and I confused shots of the day with pre-existing. Thought I'd lost this one. No, pre-existing. Luckily I'd taken pictures of the end, so that's another note to you guys out there, because I learned a lesson here. Mark your pre-existings, because this one, and this one were pre-existing, and I confused them pretty badly. Took a shot I didn't need to, 75 grain, and numbering them. numbering them after you shoot. It's really helps. Remind me to do this from now on, because you know me, I'll forget. Maybe some colored markers. Yeah. Make it all festive. Okay, I'm getting silly now. All right, well, let's start with the first one, the center one. 75 grain. Here, look at this. I don't know if you can see that. It starts immediately. I mean, probably the fastest of all. I don't know. I can measure that. Well, yeah, 16th, maybe an 8th. It just boom. Pretty impressive. Wound track starts to die out about 7 3/4, and we see classic bits going everywhere. Some pretty good ones. These lost a lot of weight. Now this wound track doesn't really do that. Doesn't do too much of the ribbony thing. About 10.5 here. I mean, it's still got a mild wound track going. It tries to research, but it's about the same size right out till it stops at about 14 inches. It went about 14 1/4. It didn't really do much. It bounced back, if any at all, actually. There just wasn't a lot left to it. Number 2 is at the bottom. May have to clear this up. Parchment paper works great for keeping this smooth until it wrinkles, and then it just really messes everything up, which is what I'm running into here. Handling clouds it up. I've cleared this up so many times trying to make these videos, and what that does, it melts the surface, and that's what clears it. This isn't going to clear up all that great, but let's see what I can accomplish. Okay, right here we are. I'm not sure if this is the one I thought, or another one I thought I lost, because it was kind of hidden with, you know, all the slug stuff, because I mean, it's right here. And I was looking from this side, so it was behind this. This is another 77 grainer. Lost a lot of weight. This one also starts, you know, early on, maybe a 1/2 inch it starts. You can see where it lost a lot of its weight. Right here. Really. Wow. That started about 6.5 inches. Really went crazy. Grenaded. Wow. Some of those pieces are at 8 7/8 inch, but at that point it really just thinned out. Doesn't do a whole lot. Ends up here at about 15 1/8. I can't remember if that was the star performer of the day. Figure that out in a bit. But yeah, that one definitely penetrated quite well. The 79 grain mega soft point. Woo. And it started, I mean, I don't think I can measure that. It started to make wow immediately. We'll just say 1/8 inch, just for argument, but it looks like it's immediate. It really does. We'll say 1/8 inch. Quite a nice wound channel. I mean, it actually goes behind. They overlap right here, because here's, I don't know if you can see it, because that line kind of hides it a little bit. That pre-existing one, it does this, and this one does that. So it's hard to say. And right here, well, More classic fragmentation. Where's that start? It starts at 6 inches. There's pieces. Wow. Let's just say right from that, there's a piece here at 8 1/4, little one. Piece of jacket. There's a piece at 8 7/8. And there's some that kept going. Whoop. It hit about 12 inches and bounced back to 13 1/2. I forgot about that's that second. Well, that's that second 75 grain. That's that first 75 grain. Some good size ones there. Hopefully I got those in order. Yeah, that 75 grain. The second one, I believe. Right? This is number 1. Yeah. 14. First one hit 14 inches. The second one hit 14 7/8. So that second 75 grainer, I think it was going a little faster. That's the penetration star. Those are a lot more work, and they lost a buttload of weight. I mean, you'll see. Weight loss stars, I mean, they are the biggest losers. Yeah. By a wide margin. I don't remember the 69 grain Mega Soft Point, or 77. I'm sorry, 77. Number 3 is a 77 grain Mega Soft Point. Wow, got into Kirk mode. That one might. I don't remember if that lost more or less than 75s. It was right there with them. But they all performed quite well. I must say. 77, anything not in a 22 long rifle is going to be a lot more work. Is it worth it? I guess it depends what you're looking for. Because the 75s were made out of 17 HMR brass, and they penetrated really well, but they lost the most weight, I think. I have to look back. Can't remember how much the 77 grain Mega Soft Point lost, but it was right with them. But that one I expected. That one I expected to just, total oblivion is what I expected from that one. That's kind of the thought behind the design. But they all chambered, no problem. All fired, no problem. Even, the craziest of the designs. So, big wins all the way around. Yeah. I guess before I could, really crazy, I should leave you with that. Now I'll bring out, the pulled bullets, weight retention, and all that. Yeah, kind of backwards order, but like I said, in the dark with just that, the eyes, it lights everything up and you can see it real well, but the camera just, for whatever reason, didn't like it. Everything around it was so dark that certain ones benefited and other ones didn't. So unfortunately, I didn't notice until I just thought, well, deal with it. It's okay, blah, blah, deal with it. And then I said, it's just not all that great. Now I've got to dig out a whole lot of fragments and remelt this gel. All right, on to the next. Okay, first block. Well, number 1, 55 grain. Number 2, 60. Number 3, 62. Number 4, 65 flat point. Number 5 is 65 soft point. And number 6 is 69 fat point. Block number 2. Number 1 is 75 grain. Number 2 is 75 grain. And number 3 is 77 grain. Soft point. Mega soft point. It is. Alright. Now that we know what they are, I need to dig them out and see what they retained. Okay, I'm going to do them one at a time in order, just so I don't confuse them. This one's number 1. Yeah, a little bit left in length shaft. Let's see. Dime. Yeah, kind of hard to do this. Measure. Okay, comparison. Dime is 0.7 for this dime. 0.50. So this thing just barely doubled in size. It's not too bad, I'd say. Let's see what we got for 50.72 out of 55 is not bad. Not bad at all. It barely lost just slightly more than 4 grains. Cannot complain. Not in the slightest. Alright, let's move on to number the next. The 60 grain. I had a heck of a time getting this out, so I separated the jacket. It was just in there deep, and it gave me trouble. You got this piece of gel here. We'll weigh it. True weight. Mushroom's a little odd, but boy, technically the size of a dime. Let's see. I think really close. If you go extreme to extreme, okay, a little smaller, 6.656. Small wise is 0.477, so just under a half an inch widthwise. Still not bad. And yeah, once again, there's quite a bit of shaft to the jacket, but the core kind of keeps on going. Let's see what this says. 0.498, so 10, basically just over 10 grains. Still not bad. I'm still pretty happy with that. On to the next, 62 grain. Okay, there's 62 grain. We're approaching dime size. Ah, don't you dare. And probably extreme is 594. So I saw 6. I saw 605, but I'm not really trusting it. 606. Wow. At its extreme, I saw 606 versus 0.70. Wow. It's kind of narrow. 493. 467. So they, approach or exceed, doubling in size. That's just pretty good. Can't complain. Let's see what we got here. Wow, it lost 7/10 of a grain. That's a win if I ever saw one. Wow, and it penetrated quite nicely at the same time. It just wasn't pushing speeds. What was that one? Somewhere 13 and a half, 13 and a half. About 13 and a half ish, give or take, eighth of an inch. I mean, even there, okay, so I'll say 3/4 of a grain. What's to complain about? I mean, it could have been off, you know, one way or the other. I didn't weigh them before I loaded them. I mean, it could have been a tenth or two shy of 62. It could have been a tenth or two over. But, you know, still. That's some seriously good retention. Actually, there is a little gel in there, so let's take that grain and a quarter off and call it 60 and say it lost 2 grains. Still, excellent retention. You'd be hard pressed to complain about that. All right, let's go to 65 grain flat point. Okay, 65 grain fat point. Let's see what we got here. I saw 607, but I don't know if I trust that. 601. I'll go with 601. What's narrow? Narrow is hard to go, but if you go that way, so 458, almost double at the narrow, unless you go way down here. You're gonna see 0.42, so almost double, and then 0.60, a little over 0.60. So yeah, pretty nice. Folded right back. This one weighs 6172 out of 65. 3. Well, there's probably some gel. Let's say a 4 grain or so loss. Not bad. I call that acceptable too. Man, these middling loads are really friendly to these, and they're still leaving nice wound channels, and yeah, we're still at 2,600 feet per second or so. So I mean, you still got the supersonic shock wave above 2,200. Yeah, so far so good. Let's get the 65 grain soft point. Okay, well, include that, we're bigger than a dime, but that's just not fair. Okay, let's see what we got this time. Well, you know, just because. Oh, we're at 784. Yeah, woo! 3 times the expansion. Yeah, okay, I know that's a dirty bit of cheating, but I had to do it. I mean, and then that piece just falls right off the rest of it. Wow. But it was attached. Let's see what actual wide 0.608 looks like. I saw 0.608, but still about 0.60, I'll call it. .480. There's, you really want to get skinniest, go to 375. But you know. Okay, let's see what we're talking about on the scale. And this was attached, so I'm counting it. There is some gel in there though. 5946. So 59 and a half out of 65. So six and a half, 7 grains lost. Still not terrible. I'm being pretty impressed. I wasn't sure what to think with going with slow loads. I knew they would give them a better chance of mushrooming, but I wasn't sure about, gel performance, penetration, wound channel. But we have seen that slower, it can penetrate sometimes fantastically further. We're seeing that across the board here. Most likely, if I loaded these up, they would just, may have to test that out in the future. But anyway, let's go for 69, dude. Fat boy. Yeah, this was attached when it came out. There's some gel in there. She's all folded back, but that was attached too, so they will get weighed. Come on. Bits of gel. Yeah, well, gel doesn't weigh a lot. I'm probably maybe a little generous with what I'm reducing, from it. It's probably only half grain gel these things retain, but for sake of argument. See what we got here. 0.659 if you go with the jacket. Let's see, about 0.50, half inch. Try to get in the narrowest area, but still, this one's pretty round. It's 0.49 to 0.50. Let's see what do we got here for weight. Let's see, those were attached, so 53. There we go. 53 and a half out of 69. About 17 grains or so of loss. That's the worst so far. Of course, it was blunt trauma, no sleek profile going in. It just, battering ram compared to the others. So I really won't complain about that either. So far, I am quite happy with the results. All right, let's move on to 75 and 77 grain of the other block. Kind of mangled this one getting it out. It didn't want to come easy. These were attached. Fell out as soon as it exited. Pretty small. Huh. About 0.486 at its widest. About 385 at its narrowest. Fold it right back. See what it weighs. It shed a lot of weight. Let's see, these were attached, so come on, stick it in the gel. 43.22 out of 75 is the worst so far, by a wide margin. But 31 and 3/4 grain, basically 31.8. Let's take these off just to see what the main, and before these fell off, why not? 41.9, so 42. But yeah, wow, that is a lot of loss. 32, Easy 32 grains. And there's probably gel in here. Yep, there's some gel in here too, so let's say 33 grains of loss. Wow. Oh. Wow, that's kind of surprising. I mean, it lost some, whoa, big old chunks back here though. I mean, so it shed a lot of weight right there. Right about 7 3/4 inches, 7.5, 7 3/4 inches. It shed a fair amount of weight. All right, well, we got another one. See if it fared any better. Say it didn't fare all that much better. It's about the same. Let's see what this one is. This one's pretty round though. 384, 402, 410. But it's pretty round. 37.8 bar. Wow. That's even worse, isn't it? Yeah. It's pretty similar still. 37.8. Yeah, that was about 42, 43. Yep. This one fared even worse. It penetrated further though, if I recall. Yeah, this one penetrated really well, but it shed well. I mean, right here we can see it shed some. I don't know if you can see it. Like I can. It shed like crazy. Let's see if I can, crap, get a better view. But right here at 6.5 inches, it really started breaking up out to 8 3/4 or so. Right here, shed some good sized chunks. Collapsed right here and then boom. All right, let's see what that 77 grain Mega Soft Point came out. I don't have high hopes, but let's see. Yeah, it shed a whole lot. Wow. These little pieces were attached when I pulled it out, but there's not much left to it. It's a varmint grenade extraordinaire. Because it's a bit of jacket, we get up to about 4.54 or so. Let's see what's reality though. About 3.67. But there's not a whole lot left. Oh, let's weigh it. So you can feel the crushing disappointment in what's left. Though probably what it did in the gel is kind of devastating to anything it hits. Let's see. 35.4 out of 77. Wow. Forty-two grains. It lost over half of its weight. Yeah. But if that's the what you desire, you can have it. Wow. Yeah. So, what can we make of this? This thing's mushroom. The right speeds, yeah. But 75, 77 grain, even, well, 77, they were in 17 HMR brass, which is a little thicker. So there's a little less lead core in there because the jacket is longer, thicker, weighs a little more. It's probably 12 grains or so to those jackets, between 12 and 14, I'm thinking, if I recall right, somewhere in that range, depending. So they break up tremendously, as we can see. And that 77 was just a 22 long rifle with a lot of lead in it. You know, almost as much soft point, half again as much soft point as jacket. But yeah, if you want it to bust up, they will bust up. They will grenade quite nicely. Of course, that's that block. And everything up to 69 grain, mushroom. And they're the easy ones to make. There's nothing special about, you know. It's just how you adjust your die. I mean, the same with the 77 mega soft point. It's how you adjust your die. No fancy jacket craft. I'll call it that, you know. Nothing custom jacket wise, just squishing. Bog standard. Just adjusting your lead core and your dies. So yeah, I'm thoroughly happy. Let's see. That's it. 77 grain. Let's see. I'm gonna try to line them up here a little bit. That's a 75. That's the first 75. 69. 65 soft point. 65 flat point. 62. 60. 55. If you don't want to do the extra work or your dies, I noticed talking like DMI, dies aren't great. You probably can't do the soft point. They're not smooth like they should be. There's a real problem there. The manufacturer really needs to take care of it. These three, especially these 75s, those are work. This, like I said, as long as your dies are smooth, you can do this. It's a grenade. Other than that, this is all easy. I mean, up to that 69 grain fat point, and they chamber no problem. That 77 grain mega soft point chambered no problem. And you can make smaller than 60. You can get like 22 shorts. You're talking 50 grain. You might be able to go less. You might be able to make 40 grains. I don't know. I don't have enough to experiment with. Of course, it wouldn't fly very well in a 1 8 twist, but you know, still. It's kind of cool to be able to make what you want and get creative and find what works for you in what situations, because like Elvis Ammo said, home defense, the right velocities, mushrooms all day. You want some varmint grenades or something, push these harder, or you know, the 77 grain soft point would do it. I didn't do a 69 grain, you know, soft point actually. I just went with the fat. But they get a fairly decent soft point, but I mean, nothing like that 77. Ish, but only ish. You know, barely ish. All right, I'm getting way off track here. Getting silly. All right, let me roll this together, and I'll leave you with that. Have a good one. God bless. See ya.